Today we're going to be talking about ZipForms, the ability to create contracts online and have them printed out. This is a service that is available to all members of SCAR, but it's also a special service for the agent-owned Realty family. Agent owners will have the ability to fill out all of the agent-owned contracts through the same service. This allows you to open up, create professional-looking contracts, including the paperwork that would normally bring you into the office while sitting at your home computer. This is, I think, a great service that's available. And today we're going to talk about setting up a transaction in ZipForms and briefly talk about how to create digital signatures and how to use your finger to sign contracts on your iPad. Now, typically what you would do is go to www.zipformonline.com. You will see this window that is before you. ZipForm 6 is the current version. You would fill out your name, which is typically your first name dot last name at AgentOwnedRealty.com. The first time that you log into ZipForms, you will have no password. When you click sign in, you will be asked to create a password and then to confirm it. Afterwards, you will go ahead and enter it as I have here, where you would enter your username and your password. Now let's go and sign in. And we jump through a couple of hoops, and that's good because it depends upon the updates and the information that you have on your computer as far as the security system as to how this opens. Now, what you will notice is that I now have double windows open. The ZipForm utility will open up a second window which will bring up your ZipForms, different than the one you started with. This is a pop-up window. If you have a pop-up blocker enabled, it would prevent this window from opening. Typically, you would have the pop-ups enabled so that they would allow you to have pop-ups on your system. Otherwise, when you went to click on Home to view the pictures with that, you would not be able to view those pictures. Those pictures would come typically in a pop-up, and the computer doesn't know whether it's a good pop-up or a bad pop-up. So you should be able to open up and have this scenario become available for you. Now, the first time you come in, you'll see something like this. Home Forms ZipLogic Digital Ink, which is the service which allows you to create contracts and send them long distance and have them digitally signed. Transaction list, template list, clause manager, my profile, library manager, relay manager. We're going to jump in and go to a new transaction. Typically, the new transaction will come up in the use location address. This will identify which office you are affiliated with. You can go ahead and set up a transaction name. The name can either be the street name or the name of your client. I have heard pros and cons of both of those. The choice is yours. We will go ahead and set up a new transaction, and we'll have it as a listing package. You could have it as a purchase or lease. Property type varies with residential, industrial, multi-unit, commercial, or vacant land. Apply a template. This will allow you to create your own template, which is a combination of the forms needed, and pre-fill those forms with your information. Now, the information that you have is about you, about your location, your cell phone number, your name, things like this that does not change. By pre-filling that, you will save yourself a good deal of time. The first time you open this, you will find either few or none. Some of the available templates are created universally for the different offices. These are ones that I have created in class as test templates. We'll go into the creation of templates a little bit later, but that's what this is when you first create your initial transaction. Now we're going to say OK, and here we go. Now we have the File, Edit, Tools, and Help. Here we have the name of the transaction, New Transaction 1. However, there are no forms in this field because we did not take a template. We have nothing in here preset. Now, we move down here where the library forms are. The normal members of the MLS will have only the SCAR library. If this is all you have, then please let me know immediately. This is available, and typically this is what you would have if you got to the ZipForm login through your MLS login. That is why it is important to recognize the address up here as www.zipformonline.com, and when you enter that and log in with your AgentOwned Realty email address, then you will have both the SCAR library of forms and the AgentOwned library of forms. The drop-down shows these. Now, there is not a lot of space to view the forms right here, so what we're going to do is we're going to move this up, and that gives a little more space. Now, these little icons that you can barely see here will allow you to even increase it further. As you go through, these are the different forms that are available for you. They are now listed alphabetically, numbers first and then letters. You can also have them listed numeric. In this case, since this is our AgentOwned library, instead of having numeric as such, what they have are abbreviations to represent what the forms are. Now we'll switch over to the SCR, and you will see that these have numbers, much like the numbers for the mail order catalogs, if you can remember those, where you would pick out an item and it would have a specific number. You can also have the forms where they are categorized as agency listing, etc., or if there's a specific form you want, you can do a search to find that. I'm going to move back here, and now to choose these. How do we go about choosing these? Well, it's the same way as when you choose multiple locations for a search with your MLS. What you would do is you would click on the first one, and then while holding down the control key, select the other forms that you would like to select and have in the system. One of the things you want to be sure to include is a cover sheet, and you can have either a 2-page or 4-page cover sheet with the system. We're going to include that, and now we can go here and say add selected forms. Now we can also go in, there we go, we've got the forms selected, and if we find that there is a form that we have forgotten, all we have to do is double click and it is added to our transaction. To go back and view the transactions, we can do something like this. Notice we've got the slider over here on the right, which will allow us to work through it. When you have several pages, this one specifically has 9 pages, you will notice. These are the little bars, much like the recording, that will move you from page 1 to page 2 to page 3, or all the way to the end on page 9, or all the way to the beginning at page 1, depending upon which one you choose. The scale width gives you the dimensions here, so it will scale to fill up the area from here to here. Remember, whenever the cursor becomes a double arrow like this, it will allow you to move the bar over to increase your viewing field. Along with the scaling the width, you can actually scale to height. When you do that, you get a perspective of the form, but it makes it very difficult to actually read what's there. We'll go back to the scaling the width. Familiar icons of cut, copy, paste. If you want to strike through, you can select the icon for strike through, and then just go to, let's see if we can get here. There we go. We are trying to, it would allow you to go through and select an area to be struck out. I'm having slow response with this. You can also go in and change all the letters to uppercase. You can insert not available. Now remember that when you choose this, the nice thing about it is empty fields in the current form will be filled with the following text. NA. That means you don't have to go through and put NA in each one. You just select to have this done, and after that, anything that you do not fill out will have an NA available, so that the party that receives the contract cannot go in there and make changes to what you have already set up. Let's see if we can. Here we go. We're now getting a response. You notice that it allowed me to select and strike through the wording here. Wait a minute now. If that's wrong, You can go back and strike back through it again and turn it off. And here we go. There, at least this one's working. Depending upon the response of your system, it may be there. Okay, now we've got that going. All dependent upon your internet connection that you have here. The NA, the ability to add a note. One thing about this is the classic little sticky note that you can add onto the contract. But I was disappointed to learn that this sticky note is only for you. You cannot use it as a sign here, please note the wording here, that sort of thing, when you email the contract to your client. It does not email. It is purely for you and for your information. This is the undo and the redo, and this is the highlighter. You can notice that you can choose the highlighted colors. One thing about the colors you should remember is that these colors look very nice on the screen, but if your client is printing out the contract with a black and white printer, these will be shades of gray. One thing about the red right here, that's a very dark color, and if you try to highlight with the red, it may look okay on the screen, but when it prints out, it's going to be very difficult to read. We'll choose the yellow, say it's okay, and then you can go through, let's see. And as you noted, we'll highlight the area. Again, you can turn it off by re-highlighting it with what is here.